Hey guys, I'm Brittany Pio and I am a wellness advocate with doTERRA since 2019. I'm a gold leader. I'm also a licensed massage therapist. I teach massage therapy and I am a new mom and wife. So I wanted to come in and just show you some really easy ways to sample, have fun with sampling, and just seamlessly incorporate it into your business and make it something that you look forward to doing because I know it can seem overwhelming at times or tedious or you just don't really know where to start. So I wanted to give you some simple ideas to help you get started sampling or maybe inspire you to get back into the habit of sampling again. And over the years, doTERRA has made it easier and easier to sample. I highly recommend getting the class in a box. It's about $35 and it comes with some pretty cool stuff, including handouts that you can give to people. But what I really love about it is that it comes with sample drams. So these quarter drams even have the doTERRA branding on them, if I can pull it up. And they're adorable. Some methods of sampling say like just give like 5 drops, just so they have enough time for like 1 or 2 experiences. Like we don't want to give them too much because then they might not buy it if you give them half a bottle of oil. And that's the point. We want to be able to teach people so that way they can independently go in and purchase their own oils with obviously your help. So I will usually with these put anywhere from 5 to 7 drops in. Something you want to be mindful of is if you're using citrus oils, they do evaporate quicker. And I tell people like use them right up because you don't want to all of a sudden wait a couple weeks and then now your oils are gone. If I am filling these up for other purposes, like I had somebody who booked a class and I told them every person that you have show up to your class, I'm going to give you a full size sample. So that fits around like 20, 25 drops. So that is great for other purposes too. But when it comes to just giving somebody their first experience or they want to try it for an ailment, go ahead and just do like 5 to 7 drops. You don't want to just do like 2 or 3 drops because sometimes like it won't come out. And if somebody's frustrated, they're not going to have a great experience. And remember, when it comes to sampling, we want to target like 1, maybe 2 problem areas. Anything more than that, it can start to become really overwhelming. I know we want to help people, but we don't want to bombard them with too much information right out of the gate because it can be really difficult to navigate and they might feel confused or something like that. So give them 1 sample for 1 ailment. Let's say they have digestive issues, give them some Digest Zen that they can either try in their water or rub directly on their stomach or apply over where they have heartburn. So that's what you want to keep in mind. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. So it can get really expensive to mail these out. So I recommend being smart about that. I've even had people pay me $5 or $10 to try sampling, and then I feel better about it because I'm not spending. There are times though when I know it's somebody who just needs a little help or getting their foot in the door, and it's totally worth the investment because you can sample and do it really cheap, or you can start spending some money. And if you're doing this often, you want to make sure it's worth your time and the money that you're investing into the sampling. So if you're mailing them out, which I did a ton during COVID, and I still do when somebody has interest, but now I like to give them a Google form to fill out with what information they're looking for, their mailing address, and then sometimes I'll even charge them, just depends on the situation. And I find that there's no problem with that. Another thing I want to say about these sample drams is make sure you go ahead and label them with a sticker on top. So that way they know what they're getting. It can get really confusing for you to try to keep track of, but it is important for you to keep a spreadsheet with who you've sampled, what you've sampled them on, and then following up and what's their status. I don't like to just like send them a sample and then never reach out again. Sometimes people do reach out, but sometimes people don't. So make sure you're following up as you sample, even hopping on a call with them if you are doing it with somebody that you can't meet up with in person, and just explaining to them how to use the sample that you sent. These little mailers are great. You can get them even smaller than this. I use stamps.com because I do send out a lot of samples and things like that through my business. So it's worth it for me as a busy mom to not have to leave my house to go to the post office. I love that. It's like 20 bucks a month, but you get cheaper postage and all of that, and you can do it right from your home. So for me, it's worth it. But if you're not doing a ton of sampling like this or sending things out in the mail, then just go to the post office. And you always want to make sure you label your mailers that they have essential oils in them, just in case they ever get flagged for having like liquids in the mail. You're supposed to label the outside of the package that just says essential oils. Somebody told me that at the post office. I don't really know if that's completely true or not, but I just like to give out that information. So that can get a little pricey, usually costs around $4 or $5 to send this out in the mail, plus your product that you're sending. So just keep that in mind. Make it worth it when you're going to sample like that. I just find that I'm not going to do that for every single person who I want to have an oil experience with. What else is nice is if they are local to you, you can drop them off. I did a lot of porch drop offs during COVID, but then I've even continued to do that because it can just be easier than having to meet up with somebody. But there's nothing like having that in-person experience with somebody. But it can be done if you have busy, conflicting schedules. Drop it off on their porch and plan a time to follow up with them. Have that as part of the exchange, is that I'll give you these samples, but I need to teach you how to use them. And once you teach them how easy it is, then yes, they still always need you, but then they become so much more independent and educated. I don't have any with me right now because I use them up all the time, but there's also these really great A to Z oil guides that you can get. They're basically like a miniature version of the Modern Essentials Handbook. They're like super tiny, and you can get them for $1 a piece on oillife.com when you buy them in bulk. So again, not trying to bombard you with too much information, just what's worked for me. And I'll like highlight and tag a couple pages for them to flip to in it. They have to deal with the sample that I sent them in particular. Other thing I'd like to do is maybe just like print out some information on the specific oil if I don't have that. Like right now I'm out of them. So I would just send a little curated from doTERRA information or graphics I've saved in the past, things like that, just to give them some more information. And basically what I'm always trying to teach people is how to navigate this for themselves, how they can become independent, and they need me to help that process. But once they get it figured out, they can do it all by themselves. And it's not that hard. We want to take that out of all of this with our businesses. It's not that hard to do this, and it's not that hard to use oils. So that's one great way of sampling with the drams, dropping them off, connecting with somebody in real life. But when you can't do that, the drams come in great for that, sending them out in a mailer. Now, a cheaper way to get your samples out is to get these. I'm forgetting what they're called right now. So they're these really thin foil packets that you can just stick your sticker right on here. I found these also on Oil Life, and you open them up. They're just like a little piece of foil that you can open up, drop your drops in, about 5. Again, you don't want any more than that in this one because you don't want it too full. And then you take a hair flat iron and you heat it up and you seal it. And you can just send this in an envelope, and then it's good to go. It costs you postage, like what is a stamp, 68 cents now. And these are really cheap. You can buy a pack of 100 for like $25. So that is a really cost-effective way to sample. They tear off the top and they can use it. This is great too if somebody already has a diffuser. I just tell them, tear it off, put it in your diffuser. This one's also good for maybe some deep blue for topical application, lemon for in your water, but that can be a little tricky because if it's too potent, that might not be a good thing. So maybe have them pour it in like a huge thing of water. So that's a great tool to be really cost effective. So if I am not really sure on somebody, they've reached out, maybe on social media, I don't know who they are. I don't want to maybe spend the $5 to $10 that it can cost to sample somebody. So I will do this. And I've had great success with it. So I'm not trying to say like, oh, if you don't know the person, then spend less time and money on them. But it's just a good way. Like if you don't want to have this big upfront investment or have to worry about, running to the post office, you could just stick this right out in your mailbox. So love that. Love this way to sample. And they're super cute too. You don't have to get them with the doTERRA branding, but I just like that Oil Life has that option. And they're just adorable. Some other ways that doTERRA has made it super easy for us to sample now too. You can buy these MetaPower pamphlets that you can just stick the MetaPower collagen sample right in, send this in the mail, or give it to your friends when you're out with them, and just then they can try it and they have more information. You can just put a little tape right across here and send it in the mail, just like this. You just would put your mailing label on this. Postage is going to depend on the weight. So I would just take this to the post office with you to make sure you're sending the right postage if you don't have a scale at home. So I love this. I will be handing these out to friends and family soon. I just got these, so I was really excited to share that with you. And some other really nice, already ready to go, deep blue. If you want to go super cheap with this, cost-effective way, I'm all about that. I've bought makeup sample containers on Amazon that actually had like blue caps. I did stick still a deep blue sticker on top of it so they knew, and just put a little squirt in and do it yourself. I like that because it is a little more cost effective, but these to me just seem more professional to sample. If you did the little makeup sample containers with a squirt of deep blue, I think putting the sticker on it that says deep blue just enhances the professionalism. So I would do that. Also love like sampling with the On Guard, not coming up good, toothpaste. These are great. I also will give them to people when they enroll, so that way they're experiencing other products besides just essential oils because they might not know we have other things. And then the drops, like the Breathe drops, On Guard drops, Ginger drops, these are just another great way to sample your essential oils, and they get an experience. Same with the beadlets. This is the Super Mint beadlets, but you can get a lot of the different oils in the beadlet form, and then they get that experience. Some really, really cheap and cost-effective ways to sample is when you're out with your friends and family or whoever, you're at a soccer game and somebody's complaining about like a headache or a sore throat, like you've got your oils on you at all times. I'm sure you do. You haven't made it this far if you don't. And you can just share organically with people. I love like getting my deep blue out and giving somebody a little bit of that. Or we're out to dinner and I notice we are all talking about how we want to get in shape or whatever. I pull out my MetaPower, we do a drop in our water at dinner time. And same with any of the citrus oils, like you're sampling them, you're getting that experience, and it's super fun, organic. It's not salesy or pushy. Like you're just showing them what you would do. I sample people with peppermint too all the time. They're too hot, headache, whatever. I just hear these things that people are saying, and I not help but interject and just offer them something to maybe take the edge off, and there's no side effects. And if they're not familiar with it, it's a time to educate, but more importantly, like giving them that experience. So I hope that was helpful and gave you some inspiration. If you are in a rut where like sampling is really tedious for you or you don't enjoy doing it, get your kids involved or have like a sampling party or even hop on Zoom or on FaceTime with one of your fellow wellness advocates and do it together. Set a timer on your phone for like 30 minutes. It's crazy how much you can get done when you set timers. Do it while like you're watching your favorite show or something like that. Like it's really doesn't need to be that hard. I do like to sometimes do things ahead of time and have them ready to go, but I also um, find that sometimes the evaporation can happen. So just be aware of that. Maybe give yourself a number and do 15 ahead of time and give yourself a goal to sample 15 people within that week or something like that. So hopefully that was all some helpful content to get you inspired to go out there and sample your little heart out. Thanks, guys.